Ladies, gentlemen, and tarnished of all ages, welcome to the Realm of Shadow, and welcome to the Gravesite Plains, the first zone upon entry through Miquella's cocoon. When you first arrive here, things are a little bit crazy, and there may be more than a few questions that you'll have, but a first one that I know is on everyone's mind is where are the coolest weapons that are accessible as quickly as possible? Well, let me introduce you to the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. That's the name, this is what it looks like, but for the rest of this, we'll be going in a sort of spoiler prevention order, for those who like to take the game into their own hands and explore a bit more themselves. So first things first, I'll tell you where to go on the map itself, then we'll talk about the more specifics of actually getting the weapon within that location, and then finally we'll have a proper look at what the weapon is, its moveset, how it scales, what it scales with, and what makes it special, because this thing is incredibly cool, it's relatively quite strong, and it is simply an easy, early to get, unique, somber version of a new weapon type, the Great Katana. Without further ado then, this is going to be the path that you could take directly from the first grace of the expansion to the cave that this weapon is found within. I have obscured every non-relevant area to avoid giving any unintentional spoilers here that are unrelated to the current weapon, and from the starting grace, you simply want to head north across this large bridge here. Then you want to hang a right on the main path, follow it up the hill that it goes up, and I will say there's this grace just slightly off the path here where my dotted line to my character currently is that has a special vendor who actually sells his own unique version of another one of the new weapon types, but I'll leave that for you to find and see for yourself when you actually get there. Aside from that, continue south, wrapping around the underside of this cliff here until you reach the cave that is at the end of the line I've drawn here, which is called the Dragon's Pit. If you would rather do the actual exploring of the cave yourself then and just see more about the weapon, skip now to the time that is on screen. Otherwise, I'll go over where to actually go inside of here as well. Once you are inside the cave, follow the main path until you see this altar here that has a hole behind it. You want to jump out through the hole, immediately when you land, do a 180 and come back down the steps behind you like so, and you will enter a big, ritualistic room with a hole in the middle of it. If you read the notes on the ground around the room, you'll get the hint pretty quickly here that it wants you to jump. It's a deceptive hole. This is not a hole of death, but a hole of traveling. At the bottom of this hole, once you land, is a fog wall with a boss inside of it. If you don't want to see the boss, skip to the time on screen now, but for the rest of you, the boss inside of here does of course wield the weapon itself, and this is the Ancient Dragon Man. Those of you who are longtime From Software fans may recognize the armor set that he's wearing, but the weapon is the Dragon Hunter's Great Katana. For the most part, this plays out like a fight against the Tarnish with this weapon would. He uses the weapon's moveset, he has one Crimson Flask to heal with if you give him space, and he pursues you pretty relentlessly. Find your openings in the fight, take advantage of the space that he occasionally gives you, and you should be able to get through the fight relatively easily. Once you kill him, two things happen. You get his weapon, which is our main prize today, but you may notice there is also a very large door behind me, and that I am not going to open it. Instead, that's going to be yours to explore when you get here if you so choose. Moving on to our final section then, let's talk about the weapon itself in its entirety. The moveset is a standard moveset for the Great Katana weapon type, though for many of you it may be the first one that you collect. It functions very much like a hybrid between a greatsword and a katana though, more sweeping motions, some thrusts here or there, including a dodge attack thrust which is nice too, and of course it has higher range and damage than a regular katana, but slower attack speed to compensate as well. With that said, what makes this specific Great Katana special? Well, first off, let's look at its scaling. It is a quality weapon. At plus 10, it hits C scaling in both strength and dexterity, which gives it a lot of room to actually grow as you stuff stats into it. Great Katanas are strong in their own right, they have a great moveset, inbuilt bleed status on the weapon, which is genuinely always nice to have basically for free, but this weapon has two particularly unique parts to it too. The Ash of War, Dragon Moon Slash, is a chargeable Ash of War for a powerful downward slice that also fires a medium range projectile forward from the blade. Both the blade slash and projectile are separate instances of damage, both of which can hit the same enemy if you overlap them for further damage boosting. Secondarily, the weapon as a whole is listed as having an anti-dragon effect. One final last spoiler warning though to actually show what this is, I need to actually, hit a dragon. So we're going to use a dragon enemy in the DLC, and I'll be showing the earliest one available to do so right now. A headshot light attack does around 1600 damage with 55 strength and 55 dexterity, as well as scatter Erdtree Blessing level 5. A couple of talismans, of course, for the Ash of War, but not a full build by any means, so quite far from the cap on damage by far, and the Ash of War does around 3,000 damage to the head, which is quite a hefty amount. To a regular Messmer soldier, for comparison, it does around 800 for a light attack, and 2,000 for the full Ash of War in the same setup, which is actually really solid as well damage-wise, but that does show that the weapon is notably stronger against dragons than it is otherwise. Of course, dragons do also have different head damage multipliers, so I can't place the exact number difference yet. However, there are specific wording such as Dragon Wound on this weapon, and there was the Dragon Wound Grease in the base game, and what that did was make attacks do 30% more damage to all base dragons and magma worms, and 20% more to ancient dragons. That said, there are dragons in this DLC. They drop useful things regardless of what build you happen to be running, and this weapon, while being not only badass as hell in general, but also just extremely solid to use, also happens to have that lovely bonus of being even stronger against any dragon that you find. That just about does it for today then, everyone. Just a relatively quick breakdown and guide to get a particularly cool and strong weapon extremely early on, with a couple of little bonus tidbits along the way, of course. I hope you've all enjoyed this, and let me know your thoughts on it if you want more of these types of individual weapon guides, and of course, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how I handled spoilers within this video too, to just sort of inform how we will format around spoilers in our other videos as well. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.